Welcome, guys, and welcome to Season 5, Episode 1 of The Climb, featuring the ever lovely Gargoomba and Summit sort of newcomer, Sifra, who I believe has never been on The Climb. And always, this is your stream dictator and stream director here, Proton Plat player. And we are just here to kind of get the climb rolling. I know you guys have been waiting for it, so we are coming out with this episode. Should be dropping tomorrow morning, hopefully. Um, so first, I want to get some introductions. Obviously, people probably know me, so I'm just going to start with Sifra. When did you start with Summit, and what do you do with Summit now? And I guess name one thing you like about Summit. Name one thing you dislike about Summit.
I started Summit last split. Last split was my first one. I'm currently in the comp team that we have, the Emerald League, and I am also on Ohio. I also really like about Summit is the community. I think everybody's like really nice to each other. And I forgot the last part.
What
What's
you
the thing you hate
dislike?
about
What's
Summit?
I didn't say hate,
It's like,
dislike.
Sorry, it's not too strong a word. My bad, my bad.
I don't know. Maybe the severe skill disparity in players that we have.
Yeah,
Fair.
that's a thing where some people could hate it, some people love it. It can be seen as kind of like a unique thing, but obviously sometimes it just doesn't work out in your favor. And we're gonna be with the ever lovely, going to get his own dating show at some point as we're
Oh
filming this
my
on Valentine's Day.
god.
Gar Goomba, headmaster of Gar's second grade class. Gar, how are you doing? What was again? Intro. Do an intro to when did you start with Summit? What are you currently doing with Summit? One thing you like, one thing you dislike.
Okay. I won't spoil my intro to Summit because if we ever do a Summit sit down, I want to talk about that there. But I came around the start of Summit Season 2, or actually a little bit prior to that. Uh, and I signed up completely blind. I just wanted to join a tournament for a very specific reason. I won't share that either. But uh, yeah, I've been in Summit ever since. I've drafted every single team for every season that I played outside of season 3. That was when we were playing. No, season 4. That was when I was playing on PTS. But no, I've been enjoying the vibes here. It's a really nice community, even though everyone memes the hell out of me. Uh,
It's
and
only because you react to it, Gar. I hope you know that.
I don't like that. I don't like that. Uh, but yeah, no, this community is great. I yeah, there's not really too much I dislike about Summit outside of the the content. But we're getting there. We're slowly getting there.
Yeah. Hey, I mean, don't worry about that. First content piece, I believe that is going to be a video format coming out. Other than your like little montage you did for the signups, right? You did cool little
Yeah,
video
I did
piece.
that.
That was awesome, honestly.
Yeah, that
Thank
video was
you.
sick. I was
Anyway,
featured twice, so it was really sick.
yeah. So
Oh, were you in there?
Yeah.
yeah. So
I gotta check which one.
anyway, moving on. Since this didn't really happen at the end of last season, if we wanted to do a little season 5 recap, kind of how we feel like rookies and cream won 3-1 against, I believe it was your team, right, Gar? Um,
I don't even remember if it was a 3-1. I thought it was just a 3-0.
I think it was a 3-1. I think you guys won one game somehow. But just a little recap thoughts. Doesn't have to be really detailed, but we'll start with Sifra.
Playoffs went wildly out of our control. We chose as Wawa, we chose Gar's team, and that backfired on us really hard. You guys 3-1 to us. And then we just had to sit there and watch as you guys swept our side of the bracket, and then you met rookies and Kareem, and that was a match to watch. But I think it was 3-1. But I last split was fun. I liked playing with Wawas, and then yeah,
Last season felt
instead
the
of
most.
lose.
Oh wait, hold on.
Wait, are you okay, Gar?
I forgot that it was his turn to talk and I shouldn't be talking.
No,
No,
you're
you're good.
good.
I was done.
You're good. So, Gar, your thoughts?
Yeah, I would have to agree with that sentiment. I think last season was probably the most fair and balanced one out of all of them. Uh, we've seen how wildly different it's been under, all the different rules that we've been changing. And I think with how we balanced it out with the, PV system we were set up for last season, as just well as like the huge pool of players to make teams for, I think it's probably just like the amount of variety that every team had just made it really interesting and fun in the long run.
Yeah, I would have to agree with you. I think unpopular opinion, but auction system is just so hard to balance, and obviously there's just like a one-to-one draft where there's no PV, where it's just you're drafting players maybe in specific tiers. Um, but
Yeah.
then I think the PV system is kind of like a good balance in between. What do you think, Sifra?
I think the PV system is hard to balance, but I think it's pretty fair for most people because you just go off of peak. And some people complain that like, oh, well, I hit GM or I hit Masters and now I'm like Hardstack Emerald. Well, it's like, well, you at one point played like that, so we're gonna have to value you like that. Just because you dropped
Yeah,
doesn't mean
I
whatever.
I do think that there is a little bit of maybe controversy, but some people will say that obviously the more you play in Summit, the more people are gonna kind of know how to place you. But
Hmm.
alongside the PV, it isn't just peak; it's also sort of like there can be shifts up or down depending on like kind of how the balancing team feels about you, whether they think you're playing over your rank or under your rank. And some people, some people get their point value put down because of that, and then maybe you don't get drafted because you're too expensive in that sense.
Hmm.
But
Justice for Brissy.
listen, I think I don't want to hear it, Gar. You had the opportunity to draft them and you didn't.
It's not my
You did.
fault.
You
I don't
did
know.
actually.
It's
You
not my
stabbed them in the
fault. The
back.
math just didn't work.
You stabbed him in the back. Anyway, so
Oh
we're
my
gonna move
god.
on to the start of Summit Premier League Season 6 so far. How are we feeling about it? We don't have to talk about any specific matches right now, just kind of like the vibes, the draft, new rule sets, new people in positions. Just kind of how are we feeling, Zifra?
Looking at the draft, I feel like we lost Azerold, but we got peak performance in as like the standout like GM ADC. So I think he's kind of taken over pretty well. I think everybody else is pretty all right. Like we have like our heavy hitters like Sai, Never Saw, Gumby still here. Like Owen, people like that. So I feel like at least the heavy hitters, most of them came back. Then we've got a bunch of like lower elo people coming in that kind of balances things out. Just for teams that shot straight for like Gumby, for example, or Never Saw peak performance. So it balances out. I think most things are pretty fair. Every team is. I don't think any team is necessarily lopsided one way or another. There's definitely strengths and weaknesses everywhere.
Absolutely, Gar.
Uh, it's definitely a lot. We're more like back to form, I guess. I think most of the seasons we've been in has typically been in 10 teams, so it's more it's more usual our pace. I was surprised to see the overwhelming amount of mids and supports this season though. Like, well, I'm pretty sure there was like 15, 16 signups each. And, considering that not every single team needs a mid and support, it certainly made it more difficult as the draft went on to actually pick up the people that want to get picked up. Uh, but I think overall, I like the way that these teams have shaped out for the most part. I know that there's some outliers here and there that may have gone a little bit over the 57 point value that we put as the bare minimum. But I think from what I was able to see from the release, most of the games looked pretty competitive. Even if some teams, like, if we took a look at the good old list right in the center of the screen, even though some people maybe on the latter half of the pack, it's not like they're completely washed out of it. I think they're all very capable. It's just currently with the matchups right now, maybe they're not comfortable with each other, or maybe uh, some metas are just not fitting with the way that they want to play just yet. And I think it's just going to take a little bit of growing pains for everyone to figure out. But I think overall it looks pretty balanced this time
Absolutely. Excuse me. Sorry. I'm actually going to pull up real quick the teams with the players, just so we can have that for reference. And there we go. Should be on the screen. And so now we're going to sort of get into the matches, but we're gonna kind of talk about the matches as we go from the top to the bottom. So first and second, tied for first, I should say, is Final Boss Esports and Gar's second grade class. And so first, we're gonna talk about Final Boss Esports. Sifra, do you have any particular strong thoughts about this team?
Hyperlocal. Final Boss Esports, they were one of the ones that got stuck in the mid pool. Like, I think Tate signed up as a mid laner and then drafted Neversaw, so people were questioning where each one of them were gonna go. And then now I guess we found out that Tate is going ADC, so there's gaps there that they filled, which was really good on them. And then Gar's second grade class got, I don't want to say great value Azrael, but like just a step below Azrael for right now until we see like him play Ash or something, and he's like fucking nuts on it. But I think both of these teams are pretty strong, and they're definitely deserving of the first and second spot.
Yeah, absolutely. I just wanted to say that, well, these teams have had two 2-0s. Gar, your team, congratulations. Kind of slammed Anglers tonight, especially in that game too. Kind of just crip walking on them. But Final Boss Esports, they've had two 2-0s, and I believe they've kind of had like a sub fiasco roster. So I don't
Yeah.
even actually know what their main roster is supposed to be, but Neversaw has been performing. They've they took down Ohio and Chill guys, but those are two of the bottom teams, and so it's kind of hard to put stock into how well they'll do. Obviously, we'll see in their week 3 match whether they can actually continue this trend. But I think Gar's second grade class, and I'll let you speak after after in a second here, Gar. But I think Gar's second grade class is definitely deserving of that top spot. I think peak performance just does really, really well to guide the team. I was listening to the match tonight, and like peak performance was basically telling Dragon Tooth how to play the entire game, and they've done the strategy that has won like a bazillion and a half summit trophies, where you just put your top laner, who's the weak link, on a tank like Tom Kench or whatever, and you just have them absorb pressure, and then the rest of the team carries it. That worked for Roblin's Goblins, that worked for ganking Private Ryan, that worked for, well, I guess not really Rookies and Cream, maybe a little bit of Rookies and Cream, but it certainly has just been a winning strategy in the past. And I want to hear your thoughts on this, Scar.
Yeah. I was going back with Final Boss Esports. That team is definitely a sub on sub on sub mess right now. I've been aware of the scheduling problems they have, which at this point they may have to rename themselves to Scheduling Nightmares with how often they have to
Too
sub
soon.
in different players. What do you mean too soon? Something happened?
No, no, no. Nothing happened, but just too soon. But yeah, I mean, yeah,
Oh,
they've just had sub issues. Apparently, like two of their players signed up but can't play on Saturday. So explain that to me.
yeah,
So
yeah.
I don't know, but that's a something to speak not on this content piece. But any final thoughts before we move on to the next theme, Gar?
Picked perfection, and if we are not the top two by the end of all of this, I might quit.
Really? Wow, that's
Yeah,
kind of
I think
you're
our
making
team
yourself.
is actually really solid. Like going off of it, if I think the only teams that I'm scared of at this point are Final Boss Esports and Mormy's fan clubs.
Yeah, I guess those are two scary teams. So moving on, we're gonna talk about Possum Posse. Kind of hard name to say. Siffer, do you have any thoughts on this team? Currently 5 points.
Not initially. I know Blob Blob is auto filled because he's playing jungle for the comp teams, but he isn't he a mid laner?
He's primarily a mid laner. He played mid in Blue Water, but
I
he's been
mean,
side he's
yeah,
been side hoed into jungle for like a lot of different teams now.
Yeah, I mean, I would say he's filled in pretty good as a jungler for the comp
Yeah.
teams and for this team. I think this team has a lot of potential just because with Nico and Blob, kind of like that mid jungle duo is very strong. Nico, really great shot caller, and then Thim's kind of had some pop off performances, and Adam had like a really good Renata Glass game, and Thim believe had an Ezreal game where he went 16-0. So I think that bot lane's just really good. Just overall a really strong team, and I think this team is also a top contender. X-Ray, it did very much please me to see him get like solo killed by Injustice about 3 times in lane in one game. Self-proclaimed solo bolo king. So, what are your thoughts, Gar?
That's freaking crazy. No, I think Possum Party is definitely a good show for them to finally stop getting neglected by, the general community. Because I feel like a lot of people call him like a sleeper ADC pick, and that's not just because he's asleep at times when normal people should be awake because Hawaii's 6 hours difference, but
Hey, no
uh,
Thim, no win. All right.
no Themi, no Winnie, baby. But no, I think overall their team shapes out really well. X-Ray on tanks is a pretty, somewhat standard thing at this point, and even though he may fall behind at times, I think he does his role just as well. Like he's kind of like what Baratel played last season, where he was super susceptible to being able to draw aggro without actually dying, and I think that's going to really help Possum Party's pool.
Possum
Because
posse. Posse.
Possum Posse. Why do I keep saying Possum Party? That sounds better.
Yeah, it
Uh,
rolls off the tongue.
right? But yeah, Blah Blah Fish, really good jungler. Play with him in the comp team, and we also just talk with each other over and over again. So I think he's doing a really solid job to set up for his team, even though I know he wants to be playing more of these like playmaking picks like Diana or Lee Sin, but no, Skarner and Amumu are kind of right there, and he's doing really good at it. Nico, super solid mid laner. We've seen him play on an ADC and mid before. I think he's probably been one of the most solid mid laners, even if he may not be as high of a peak compared to like Neversaw or Mid to Easy in his prime. I think he's still a very solid Masters GM player for people to just, be like, hey, Nico's on that team. Mid lane is absolutely secured. Uh, and then I don't really have too much on Adam, but mentioning the Renata Gloss game you talked about against Harold's Groovies, I think he's definitely showing up as like one of the better Summit rookies.
Absolutely. I believe that was versus Anglers Won't Back Down, not Harold's Groovies, but either way, yeah, Adam and Thim have been doing well. So overall, just pretty good team. And so now we're gonna move on to tied for fourth and fifth, Harold's Groovies and Marmy Fan Club. And before I let you speak, Sifra, I'm just gonna say Harold's Groovies. I'm gonna be honest, I don't really know anyone on this team other than John Dye. Even John Dye, I'm not really too familiar with, but they seem to
Spearman was
be.
there last season.
What's up?
Spearman was here last season too.
Oh, was he? Was what team was he on?
Uh, he was bottling with them, I'm pretty sure.
Oh, was he? Name change or something?
Nope.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
I
he
guess
was
that.
on the other side of the bracket from us, so I don't remember what team he was
Oh,
on.
I see. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, either way, it's kind of like an unfamiliar team, but they seem to be performing sort of middle of the pack. They 2-0'd Scheduling Nightmares and lost 1-2 to Possum Posse, so we'll see. There'll probably be, top 5, top, 5, 6. But what do you think, Sefra?
Um, I'm kind of on the same page as you, as I don't really know anybody on this team. I know Biddy is good. I think if it's the person I'm thinking of, is Biddy the GM player? Maybe
I think
I
they're
don't know.
both either high diamonds or low
Either way, if it's the person I'm thinking of, they're really good. If they're not, they're probably somewhere around the same skill level. I don't really have any opinions on this team though.
I mean, that's
masters.
fair.
Yeah, Biddy's a master player.
we'll just have to see how they perform. And before we move on to Marmy Fan Club, Gar, any thoughts on this team?
I won't leak scrims. I think where they are right now, though, is pretty accurate to how I think it's going to shape up for the rest of the team. I think they're definitely above the pack compared to everyone else, but uh, the heavy hitters in our entire tournament right now seem to be hitting pretty hard against them. But that's not to say that they can't climb above that. I think they're very capable of it just because of how cohesive they've been in the matches that I've saw. But it's just going to take some time to see that actually grow into fruition.
And with that, we're gonna move on to Marmy Fan Club. Cutest team mascot, by the way. Marmy. I don't know if you've ever seen pictures of Marmy. Uh, Short for Marmalade. Beautiful, gorgeous orange cat with little socks. Um, so I love this team just for that reason. But Sifra, what are your thoughts on this team?
I have heard good things about Asteria. I have seen Pyrosis play, and I've personally been on the side of Heiko where he just turbo ends. So I think they have a coin flip player in their
True.
jungle. I haven't seen anything crazy from Pyrosis to make me think he's gonna be like Nico level, where it's like probably like higher than middle of the pack mid laner to know that your mid lane's secure. But Sunshine B, I think they're pretty good with Hysteria. I think they're friends. And at least from what I've seen, they have done the thing where they just put Sunshine B on like Lulu, hard champ to mess up, and it pays off for them really well. And then they've got Gourmet Cookies in top lane to hold it down as Gragas. So I
Yep.
think they're about middle of the pack. I think they can improve a lot, but
Yeah.
really all I got.
Yeah, I mean, this team is really a coin flip team. Like, I'm gonna be honest, the way that they've been playing, Gourmet Cookie is not so much, but like Heiko, Asteria, Pyrosis, those are like three of the biggest psychopaths in Summit. The fact that you have three of them on a team, this team is like literally just giga coin flip. Like when I streamed the series against them versus Chill Guys, it was constant bloodbaths just all around the map.
I had
Heiko
to
was
catch that
playing
one.
yeah, Heiko is playing his tactically inting Karthus, but I believe he did have a good Kha'Zix game in game 3. But
Mhm.
and then Gourmet Cookies, yeah, like you said, it's been holding it down. Actually been creating leads in the top lane, has been playing really well, has some good, Gragas combos. So, I think Marmy Fan Club, I actually think that they are probably going to be a top tier team just because even though they have like a lower, ranked player in Sunshine, but Asteria and Sunshine together have kind of been holding their own against, like bot laners like Goblin, and if they can do that, then against weaker bot lanes, I think that they'll be successful and they'll continue to climb up in the standings. And then Gar, your thoughts?
Yeah, this is the other team that I said was my concern against playing. Uh, just because it sucks that I have to consider banning out Heiko, and that annoys me severely.
How the mighty have
Like,
fallen.
right, like, okay, cool. Back when I had him with Gar's kindergarten class, he banned Lucian, like, okay, that's fine. Like, he'll play some other things, but it may or may not be coin flippy there, but like, I have to deal with Karthus now. I have to deal with Ivern. He has a couple other pocket picks that I won't leak. You guys better do your own research for that, but it's so annoying, man. But yeah, this is a team that has 3+ master players on the same roster, which I think is completely insane that that was even available to do. So, props to them for that. I think they're just going to have a really strong team because, you know, you mentioned like the Summit Special is putting someone who's super low elo in top tanks. I think it can also be easily pulled off if your solos can facilitate while you have a very low elo support, and they're kind of proving that point right now with Sunshine being on like Permalulu duty.
I mean, that's kind of what GPR did too. Just
Exactly.
put your bows on Yumi. But so man, best Yumi dude, that he drew Yumi bans, which I didn't believe you
I
could
didn't think
actually
that was
do. I
possible,
didn't think it was
man.
possible. Tied for 6th and 7th, we have Tubby's Pookies and Scheduling Nightmares, both at 2 points here. Sifra, do you have any thoughts on either of these teams?
I think Pookie's got put in a position in draft where I think they drafted last or next to last.
No.
So yeah, it was second to last. So
Yeah, that's
it's
okay.
kind of hard for Tubby to pick up someone that was high elo as like the rest of the people did. Save for like Psy, but I think this draft can be okay. I've heard there have been some other scheduling nightmares from this team as well that have caused this team to kind of suffer a little bit in terms of like what's going on. But I think their bot lane can be strong. I think Tubby's really good in support, kind of a commanding force, like especially on enchanters, like picture off metas that you don't necessarily see. Um, I don't know much about Herald in mid, and I know Ayakban could pick like some neutraling ADCs and probably just propel himself in the late game. But other than that, I don't really know too much about their team except the scheduling problems.
Yeah. So, for Tubby's Pookies, I kind of put down in my notes that this is sort of like a vibe team, any team that you're playing with Tubby. Just always a vibe. And they have, the masterful top two hard in the top lane, or should I say mid two easy. Hopefully his PC is fixed by now. Otherwise, we're about to see levels of crash out never before seen in Summit. I don't know if you guys know, but he was like playing the series and his computer was like crashing. But
He said he got a new graphics driver like over the week
yeah,
this week,
I
which
think it
should
was
be
like getting like 1,000 FPS on cat in league.
Ouch.
So yeah, I know.
yeah,
Yeah,
it should be pumping now.
yeah. But and then the other thing I had to say about Tubby Spookies is that Ayakben, kind of like a bot laner that in the past has kind of been exploited, not really had great performances as lower elo, but if Lord Tubbyton is there to actually, facilitate Ayakben or actually just be aggressive, tell Ayakben what to do, kind of help get that bot lane through the laning phase, then this team can be successful. As for scheduling nightmares, they've kind of had some wacky picks, but again, with Hamilcar as their ADC is kind of the same Ayakben situation, can be exploited by stronger bot lanes. And then Sai has to be their or boy wife, Spoya Sai, whatever you want to call them. They kind of have to be the mid lane carry, and so far, not really seeing very much success there as the main carry. What are your thoughts, Gar?
I mean, they did have a match against each other, and I think Sai popped off pretty hard. No,
Yeah.
like at the very least, I remember that they had a cast in game, and that just took over after like 18 minutes. Actually, hold on, let me check yeah, they went 12-4 on Cassidy and absolutely like, steamrolled the rest of their team. Uh, but I think overall, uh, both teams kind of have to play around a weaker ADC, and it really depends on how well their junglers and their solos play out the rest of the game. Uh, at least going over Tubby's Pookies, Too Easy definitely is feeling the rust now, but I think now that a new GPU is in and that he's starting to be able to play League a lot more often to actually practice, I think later in the season he'll definitely show his stuff, but
He's
it's
about to
gonna
lock
take a
in.
bit.
He's about to lock
Yeah,
in.
right. Don't really have too much info on David Edge, unfortunately. Garner and Diana is really broken right now. Good on him. Harold, I had the pleasure of playing with him in the Summit Comp tryouts. He was pretty good, but I think he's definitely a good like above the pack mid laner. It just really depends on how exactly they're gonna go about, carrying around the game and facilitating leads with that. And then we all know Tubby, and if for those who don't know Tubby, you better learn about Tubby because he's a great guy.
Oh,
Uh,
people will learn if they are in the server long enough.
that's true. That's true. Size team is definitely Size team feels very coin flippy. They first picked Bronze Cena, which I think is a pretty good budget top laner, even though I feel like he plays way above his current rank anyways. Uh, Same goes with Nightmare. Nightmare's a very solid mid, or not mid laner, a fill player actually, because I know he plays almost every single role, but he's pretty comfortable in the jungle, and I'm pretty sure that's what he's playing this time around. Yeah. So if you allow him to carry on Viego or Kindred or some weird pick that he decides to cook up, I know he played a bunch of Zed jungle games at some point. Uh, he'll be able to steamroll the rest of the game, but it really just hopes that the bot lane duo of Hamilcar and Alterus don't get absolutely flattened in the process.
Absolutely. Kind of matching my thoughts. Now we're going to move on to sole contention for 8th place here. Chill Guys, the team with Mr. Roblin Goblin on it. So, Sifra, what are your thoughts on this team, seeing as they only have 1 point?
I only recognize Goblin. The rest of them are kind of unknown for me. I think they're gonna have to play through bot unless Loco Poco pops off in top lane or their mid laner's good. But I think this is gonna be another case of like bot lane is gonna have to hard carry the rest of everybody. I don't know too much about their games just yet. I'll look at later, but those are my thoughts right now.
As somebody who's sort of seen their games, this is literally just Final Boss from last season, where they have on paper a pretty solid, actually pretty good team, but their macro is just not good. Their macro is just causing them to lose games. Like they're, Goblins, he's popping off on Corky, but they're still losing the game just because they are not able to capitalize on, getting turrets, getting dragons. They get caught out when they're, when it's really important that they don't get caught out, or they take team fights that they know that they shouldn't take, but they take them anyway. And like Cisco, their mid laner, like really good guy. I was actually on a team with him. We ended up 3rd place, and he's been putting in some solid performances. And Goblin and Seeker, these are both good players. They should be, I think they've been doing well in the bot lane, but when it comes outside the laning phase, things just sort of fall apart. Loki Poco also on paper not a bottom top laner. Like he is at least, I feel, top 5 probably. And then their jungler Jix GYX, a chip winner. Goblin's also a chip winner. Like on paper, these players should be performing better. I don't think it's because the players themselves are bad. I think it's just they need to come together. They are not playing greater than the sum of their parts. And what are your thoughts, Gar?
PPP's got such a way of words. Me personally, I mean, yeah, I kind of agree with the final boss of last split, their last season's metaphor. I definitely think these people on paper together look really solid, but it just hasn't really shown to work together that much. I mean, they did give Marmy's fan club a run for their money. That was another game that we watched. But I don't know, it just feels so uncohesive. I think Loco Poco is super coin flippy top lane at this point right now. I know he mentioned back on the comp team tryouts that his top is rusty and he needs some time to go back on it. But I think if we just judged it based off the performances he's played right now, it's looking pretty rusty right now. I'm hoping he's gonna be able to bring the same energy he did bring mid lane last split, where he was able to actually have chances of solo carrying games, like on the Ari. But until I see that, it's not looking too great for what he is gonna have to play against in the future. Uh, Gix, very good fit. I don't know too much about him personally, even though I know he's like a household legend at Summit. He was a really good Fiddlesticks player, and I know he won a championship at some point. Uh, but he's been in retirement for so long that he's got to get it going. Same with Cisco, I believe. I don't know if he's been playing that much ranked or competitive league in general. So like, it's a lot of old souls trying to get their footing back, and Goblin and Seeker are going to have to try to do their best to corral them with the bot lane strength that they have for this team.
Well put, Gar. Well put. Yeah, I do agree. Kind of some old heads maybe need to hit the gym, the ranked gym, and see if you can hit that ELO slingshot. But as we go into the ninth, 10th place teams here, I'm gonna start off with Sifra because Sifra, you're on Ohio, right? Tell me about
Yeah.
this team because so far it's looking pretty. I'm gonna be honest, dog shit. So
Yeah, I agree. Um, there's no other way to put it, truthfully. This team is just it's rough. Like we've got, in theory, we have one of the best top laners that like
who's
I
playing
wouldn't even
jungle?
top category.
Who's
Yeah, we have
playing
one of the best top
jungle?
laners who's playing jungle, and
And one of
then
the better
we've got
junglers
Gator.
playing mid.
Yeah, and then our jungler's playing mid. So I think at least for them two, it's settling into the roles that they haven't necessarily played competitively. Probably, I think Gator's played mid, but there's a lot of rust there. And then we've got ISO Didact and top, who is playing mid on a comp team. So we're all backwards. Me and Strand are in bot. We try our best to hold it down, but like against Gar's team, we got ran over by peak performance.
I'm
Yeah,
Which
sorry
I
for
think,
playing Strand at 011.
yeah.
yeah.
Gar. Yeah, I saw that. So Gar, how do you feel about Ohio, given that you guys played against him?
In
I
my
mean,
head, if we looked at the draft, without even seeing the game, if we looked at the draft and they played exactly how I thought they'd play in their respective roles, I thought that game would have been a lot harder.
Yeah,
And then they put everyone in different roles, and I was very confused, and then we took advantage of that.
yeah. I'm not gonna even try to understand it, Sifra. I'm not even gonna ask because um, I don't know. I just hope you guys improve in your performance. And I hope to see you and Strand succeed in the bot lane. I love Strand. Strand, great guy, fun guy to be with, lots of giggles, and I want you guys to succeed. But yeah, I don't really know what to say other than it's not looking good so far. And honestly, just base face value off of the mentals of the people on that team and the comms that I can presume are being said. Uh, God bless, good luck, and try to survive to the end.
That's
Um,
what Strand's there for.
that's
Strand,
the
Strand's like
giggle
the
monster, the
the good guy.
neutralizer.
Yeah.
And so now we're gonna go on to Anglers Won't Back Down. And actually, Gar, since you guys just played them, I want to hear your thoughts.
Oh boy. Let's
That
just
bad,
say,
huh?
and I won't leak sources, but let's just say that we might have Summit Season 2 happen all over again for that team.
What do you mean by that? As in, like a
Yeah.
jungler gets replaced? Okay, all right.
Something
Enough
might
about
happen.
rumors. Just keep it with like gameplay. Gameplay. I want to hear
Yeah.
about the gameplay.
It's rough because I feel like Gumby's best potential happens when he has a person who's able to play around him. Because as soon as he gets a lead, if someone else can help facilitate that throughout the rest of the game, he absolutely steamrolls people. Like, uh, in a different turn in the gauntlet, like we played against his team and he got 2 kills and just ran over the game with us because his jungler and support were also backing him up in every single play. But with the team that they have right now, it's just not possible for them to do that. And because of that, it's just very difficult for Gumby to play the Gumby way and, start getting picks running over people. Because now everyone's just, like 1,000 yards staring him in the face and he's not able to make a play anymore.
Yeah, the jig is up. I guess you could say.
Yeah, like people are starting to figure out a formula for Gumby, and he by himself is not enough to offset the weaknesses that that team currently has right now.
Yeah,
And if you look at the draft sheet or looked at the draft sheet, like this is one of the highest point valued teams at the moment. So there's definitely some bleed over happening, and it's kind of showing that those 5 extra points may mattered.
Yeah, 5 points is actually quite a bit. I kind of agree that my notes on this team is that Gumby needs to carry, and Gumby is just not able to carry. Whether that's due to Gumby underperforming or whether it's just too difficult for Gumby to literally like 1v9 the game. Uh, no offense to the rest of the anglers, but they sort of need to step up, kind of help Gumby. Easier said than done, but Siffer, what are your thoughts on this team?
My initial thoughts were like this is the one team where it was like I think went back down, picked Gumby, thinking Gumby was going to be the end all be all for this team, and then realized that he had to pick something to supplement it. Because like Gar said, like people are figuring out the formula, and for last split, the formula was me playing Tom Kench and not letting Gumby play the game and kill our carry. So I think after, no, I won't say I was the catalyst, but I think after that, people were like, okay, that makes sense. So now it's happening where Gumby wants to play like assassins or like off rolls, and he can't really do that because now he has to go against full 5-man people against himself. He can't do that. Injustice is a good player, but I personal experience, Injustice doesn't know how to carry a game like 1v5. Same with like Comet. I got to play with Comet a little bit like comp tryouts. I liked Comet, but I think he falls in the same role. I also see Savior as was on the draft sheet as a top laner, but now he's support. So I don't know if that's his second role or if he just got thrown there because they needed a fill spot, which sucks. But I can't imagine a top laner being very good at support, unfortunately, just because there's a difference in like.
Wait, what are you saying?
John could have been drafted
John could have
too.
been drafted. That's true. Old man John.
And then Won't
Chip
Back
Winter John.
Down. I don't know too much about him, just because like I've heard things. I haven't seen much of his gameplay, but I think I agree with Gar. Like this team is going to have a lot of issues if they don't know how to play against Gumby. And unfortunately, they're two, I want to say, better players are in roles that also need attention in order to carry the game, like ADC and top,
Yep.
not Fort and Jungle.
Absolutely. And with that, we have wrapped up kind of the rankings of the teams. And with that, we also sort of went through the matches. But now we're going to do a little bit of a unofficial here because it's not the content team per se, but the unofficial predictions here. So first, we have Final Boss Esports versus Anglers Won't Back Down. Who do we think is winning, Sifra?
Final boss.
All right, Gar.
Ditto.
Yep, I'm gonna have to agree. I think this is gonna be a 2-0. This might be the one that causes the dominoes, the Jenga tower to crumble here for anglers, especially if it's a blowout. Uh, Not really much to be said. And then we have Chill Guys versus Ohio. Now I think this one could actually go split. What do you think, Sifra?
I think if we get our shit together, we could beat Chill Guys. Based on stats alone, statistics, I'm gonna go with Chill Guys.
All right, Gar.
The brain
I
racker.
don't freaking know, bro.
All right, you have 5 seconds.
Like, you know what? I'm gonna put my money on Ohio. I want to see them get a dub.
Yeah, I'm gonna also go with Ohio. I do
Oh,
think
shit.
I do think that this is just the way they match is because they have the stronger players top side versus the weaker players bot side. I do think this will actually work in Ohio's favor. Not calling you a weaker player, Sifra, but just kind of weaker bot lane compared to Goblin
Yeah.
and Seeker. So I do think that Owen and OT Gator will hopefully be able to carry, keep their mentals intact, and not crash out. So
This is gonna look goofy if if we end up
yes,
winning and I'm the one that voted against us, but
yeah. I mean, it is what it is. Just
Look at the faith you have for
kind of,
your team.
kind of have to keep it a buck sometimes. And then Gar's second
yeah.
grade class versus Harold's Groovies. Sifra, sorry.
I have to look at Harold's Groovies again. I think Gar, I think your team is like actually like Thanos, so I just have to go with you.
Agreed.
Thank you, bro.
Agreed. And then Gar.
I have some insider knowledge, so I will also say my team.
What insider knowledge? You're on the team.
Yeah, I have some insider knowledge.
About Harold's Groovies? Or about your team?
Our team and Herald's Groovies, we swim
Okay.
against each other.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Oh,
Okay. I just think on paper, yeah, it's probably going to be pretty decisive your guys' favor. And then Possum Posse versus Tubby's Pookies. How are we feeling, Sifra?
look again.
Okay. Well, while you're looking, I'm going to say I think Possum Posse is going to win. I just think that I do think that even if X-ray ints too easy, ints into too easy, very hard, then still I do think the rest, the Possum Posse, will be able to pick up the slack. I think Nico will just be able, Nico alongside Blob will be able to macro this team and secure objectives across the map despite the deficit that may occur in the top lane. And then Gar?
I'm gonna say Possum Posse, but if mid to easy graphics driver gap actually comes into play,
Oh god.
I wouldn't be surprised to see them
Okay. And then Sifra, have you decided yet?
I think if the cards are right, because I do know that Tubby Spookies does have to replace their jungler, because I think he did remove himself from the team due to personal issues that I won't speak on, mainly because I don't know. But if Tubby gets a pretty decent jungler, like around the same average, and 2EZ actually shows up and can play, I think I'm going to go with Tubby Spookies for this one.
All
I'll be
right.
the outlier.
All right. Sounds good. But overall, it seems like that we are going with Possum Posse. And finally, Marmy Fan Club versus Scheduling Nightmares. Sifra, how are you feeling about this?
I think it's going to be Marmy Fan.
Yeah, agreed. I think that the bot lane is just going to get turbo gapped. Unfortunately, that's just how the cookie crumbles. Gar, how you feeling?
I'm also saying Marmy Fan Club, just with how strong every single part of their team is right now. But there is a world where Side and Nightmare absolutely stomp it.
All right, let's get you to bed, Grandpa.
Okay.
I do see that possibility too.
Okay,
Honestly.
all right. Yeah, if Sai can somehow pull out the S plus tier caliber performance, then I do think it is possible.
They'll go 15-3 Aurora.
15-3 Aurora.
Exactly. Aurora's turbo broken. Just pick it.
All right. Anyway, that is going to wrap it up for this season 5, episode 1, the first episode of The Climb. Thank you, Sifra, for being here. Thank you, Gar, for being reclined, barely in the camera.
No, my camera is
He's
not
he's
mounted.
tilted. He's tilted. You know that. There we go.
There he is.
Get that guy a dating show. He's so cute. Anyway.
Oh my god.
Thank you everyone for watching. I hope this is a good episode. Please give your feedback. Just be aware that season 5, episode 2 of The Climb and any other content pieces may be slightly different. This was kind of like a last minute thing. But once again, I wanted to thank my guests. I want to thank you guys for watching, and I hope you enjoy it and see you next time.